This is the second video in the series on the Inclusivity Spectrum, or the TARASC, provided by the Connecticut Conference of the United Church of Christ Racial Justice Ministry. This video, along with the others in this series, are a part of our facilitator training. I hope you've watched the first video in this series, which provided an overview of the TARASC chart.
Let's return to our chart. You can download a copy of this at ctucc.org/racial justice. This video is focusing on Phase 1 of the Inclusivity Spectrum.
You may have noted that the spectrum begins with the term tolerance and not intolerance. We begin with tolerance because this is a description of the move towards full inclusion. In other words, the people in the room have an interest in inclusion and are trying to figure out how to get there, or at the very least, why it hasn't happened yet.
Phase 1 is about me. But it is important to note that it is not the real me that exists in the world or the me that I see when I look in the mirror. Rather, we're dealing with the constructed me. That's the idealized individual that every society and group creates. Take a moment and think about the founding of the United States of America. Consider the characteristics of the individuals for whom the Constitution was written. What characteristics did you come up with? White, male, heterosexual, landowning, educated, able-bodied? In Phase 1, the most valuable person, or the center of focus, is the constructed me.
Now, let's take a look at the first characteristic in Phase 1, tolerance, which means to put up with someone. The defining term is benefit. In other words, during this stage, the constructed me tolerates people that benefit the constructed me. To determine who or what is being tolerated, we look to the object of focus. The object here is the target group. Now, target groups are communities that have been historically marginalized due to a characteristic or behavior. For the purposes of the racial justice training, a target group would be communities of color. If we were using the chart to describe the movement towards full inclusivity in terms of gender equality, the target group would be women.
Unfortunately, some of us have been taught that tolerance is a good thing. Though it is better than being intolerant, it is only the first characteristic in the movement toward full inclusivity. Tolerance does not feel good, and it often inflicts a significant amount of psychological damage on the members of the target group.
The second characteristic in the first phase is acceptance. Again, on the surface, acceptance appears to be a good thing. But take a look at the defining term, power. In other words, during the acceptance stage, the constructed me has the power to accept or fail to accept the target group. This acceptance may be given or taken away depending on the needs and/or wants of the constructed me.
It is important to note that members of society are socialized to identify with the constructed me, even when doing so is personally costly. An example of this behavior is internalized oppression.
Individuals and/or groups that operate in Phase 1 may be unaware of the impact of their actions or beliefs, and they often consider their actions based on intent and not on impact.
The next video will provide an overview for Phase 2, respect and affirmation. Thank you for taking the time to view these materials. Please visit our website at ctucc.org/racial justice for additional information on the Connecticut Conference UCC Racial Justice Ministry.